Yah is worthy of all of the praise. Yah is worthy of all the glory. May his mercy endure forever and ever. Yah is so worthy. May we always exalt his name. May we humble ourselves in his presence. May we magnify his presence to all men. Every nation, every creed, every person, every being. May we worship him always. Hallelujah. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. This Passover is coming forth. Today is the Shabbat, the Sabbath, but the Passover is coming. And your servant, Shanquilla, who's been given one vision to be ministering from, allow me to give a student view, oversight from a novice when it comes to this thing, these Moedims, these feasts. I want to speak on the Passover and just give a little perspective from what I see and what I read. May I take nothing away. May I not put forth false information. May I always magnify and glorify your name. May those that hear me bring forth their thoughts and add correction and add and help me just magnify you even more. We need to be preparing to remove all the leaven, not just physically, but in the spirit. So let me go forth leavenless and just share what I've studied and what I see from the view of a novice and a student. Hallelujah. How you doing today? I can't seems to be something I say a lot, but anyway, I can't pretend to be this super moray or this one that's very advanced when it comes to the Moedims, when it comes to the feast and that things that of that nature. I'm very much a novice. I'm a student, and so I'm always set to learn. I'm not the authority. So though I may speak with some form of authority, that's just the way I speak. I'm up for challenges. I'm up for learning. So I want to share, just want to deal with some things. I'm going to be sharing my screen and breaking away from, just me vocally just talking and read some of the scriptures. So let's go there now and start off with the scriptures. All righty, where am we going for the scriptures? I happen to use the U version, TS 2009. It's the scriptures version. I use the physical book when I'm reading most of the time. I also use other different translations, transliterations, but that happens to be the one I use the most. Here is Exodus 12 or Shemot 12. More breaking conversation sometimes. I'm in between reading the text, so forgive me. You can also read it on your own. It's probably good to read up to Exodus 12 so you can have some of the layout. Basically, they're in Egypt and they want to go worship Yahuwah. And so that has been something that's prompted. And in the process of that, trying to get them released, there's been plagues going on. So I'm going to even go into the plagues, but I'm going to wait till I get down the screen a little bit before I break from reading and go to reading some of the plagues, but we'll deal with that. All right. Verse 1. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe and to Aaron in the land of Mizraim, Egypt, saying, this new moon, this new month, is the beginning of new moons for you. It is the first new moon of the year for you, the Abib. 3. Speak to all the congregation of Israel, saying, on the 10th day of the new moon, each one of them is to take for himself a lamb, according to the house of his father, a lamb for a household. And if the household is too small for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next to his house take it according to the number of the beans, according to each man's need. You make your count for the lamb. Let the lamb be a perfect one, a year-old male. Take it from the sheep or from the goats. And you shall keep it until the 14th day, the same new moon, same month. Then all the assembly of the congregation of Israel shall slay it between the evenings. And they shall take some of the blood and put it on the 2 doorposts and on the lintel of the house where they eat it. So on the entrances and the exits. And they shall eat the flesh on that night, roasted in fire. See, a lot of, and we're not really preparing ours roasted on fire. We're not doing it over the grill, but we do need to signify that this is the way they did it. Roasted in fire. So what we would call barbecue, I guess, or open pit. Roasted with fire, with unleavened bread and with bitter herbs, they shall eat it. Excuse me. Roasted in fire. So not steam cooked, crock pot, though that's what some of us are going to do. We're going to make mention of was done then. But me, myself, I don't know if we're really able to partake of this thing exactly, but we should read it for what it is and speak and clarify and let it be known for what it is. This is how I take it. I'm coming from a novice position, so I'm not one that's going to actually go out and kill a lamb. Some people are doing that, but, I don't disagree that Yahusha is our lamb now, but I do see where this practice was set in motion, and so it's actually symbolic of what's going forth in the kingdom. So, or I see it that way, I should say. I shouldn't speak as an authority. I'm not an authority. Okay. 9, do not eat it raw, nor boiled at all with water. See that? Nor boiled at all with water. But roasted in fire, its head with its legs and inward parts. See, now that's an interesting thing right there. Very interesting. Because most of the videos that I've seen of people preparing lamb and sheep, or they've cut the head off. The head wasn't there anymore. It was removed altogether. So, I've seen quite a few videos of people, going forth with the practice. And, one of the things that I'm not judging or whatever, but I think the process probably should be swift so that the animal doesn't, I guess, have a lot of fear and adrenaline pumping in it. You probably don't want fear in the animal, so you might want to make it swift. Just a thought, but I'm a novice, like I say, so I don't know. But it just would make sense that, if that fear was in the animal, it would probably transfer to us, even though we cooked the blood out. But it seemed like it still would be in the flesh. Just my thoughts. 10, and do not leave of it until morning, and what remains of it till morning you are to burn with fire. So basically, eat all of the meat, or destroy it. don't save any for the next day. It ain't no. I'm one that loves leftover for work, but the Passover, no, won't be no leftovers. You'll destroy the leftovers. We don't want to play that. We don't want to enter into something that has us contrary to what Yahuwah, excuse me, has set in order. 11. And this is how you eat it. Your loins girded. So that means you should be dressed. Your sandals on your feet. You should be prepared to go. Your staff in your hand. So you got your sandals on your feet and your staff in your hand. So you're standing, you're ready to go. So you're and you shall eat it in haste. You're eating it like, oh, we about to get up out of here. Now, I know whenever I've done the Passover, we basically I've been sitting. In the past, I did the cedar plate or whatever, but I'm not going to be doing that anymore. But I do see we're probably still going to be sitting and stuff like that, family style or whatever. But we will put in memory and read this so that we know that they were in haste and that they were prepared to go. They had their shoes on and their staffs ready, everything. It is the Pesa of Yahuwah. And it shall pass through the land of Mizraim on that night, and shall strike all the firstborn of the land of Mizraim, both man and beast, and all the mighty ones of Mizraim. I shall execute judgment. I am Yahuwah. See, now that's interesting. Both man and beast, and all the mighty ones of Mizraim or Egypt, I shall execute judgment. See, that makes me that's what I was talking about earlier. That makes me want to know, okay, what are mighty ones? Mighty ones would be deities or false gods of Mizraim. I shall execute judgment. How did he do that? See, I like to ask questions. I'm studying while I'm reading. And so when I read, let's go to what came up. Since he's going to execute judgment, let's go to that. And that would be right here. All right. The plague number 1 was water to blood. That's in Exodus 7:14 through 25. Basically, the Egyptians were also able to turn water to blood, including the death of the fish and the smell that prohibited even trying to drink the water. Pharaoh's heart remained hardened. But here's what it was. The Nile was the source of Egypt's power. There are several gods in their pantheon that draw life from the river. Khnum was the guardian of the river's source. Hapi was the god of annual flooding of the Nile and the lord of the fish. Osiris had the Nile as his bloodstream. So that those deities were judged with that plague. Plague number 2, the frogs. Exodus 8:1 through 8:15. The Egyptians also produced frogs. Piles of dead frogs filled the land with a foul odor. Heth was the Egyptian goddess with the head of a frog. So that was judgment on that deity there. Plague 3, gnats or lice. Exodus 8:16 through 19. The gnats or lice came up from the dust of the earth. The Egyptian priests could not duplicate this miracle. They declared this is the finger of God or Yah. Geb was the god over the dust of the earth. So that's the deity, Geb. Plague 4, you have flies. Exodus 8:20 through 32. This was the first plague that affected only the Egyptians. Khepri, the head of a beetle, and also moved the sun. That's the god that dealt with. That judgment was over. Okay, we'll go back. That was 4. This is 5. 5 is the sick cattle, Exodus 9, 1 through 7. Yahuwah continued to distinguish himself, between the Israelites and, distinguish the Israelites and the Egyptians. He distinguished between the Israelites and the Egyptians, excuse me. This plague affected only the Egyptian herds. Hathor was the fertility goddess who was often depicted with the head or horns of a bull, and sometimes as a bull wearing the symbols of Hathor. So that's the deity that was judged. Plague 6, boils, Exodus 9, 8 through 12. This was the first plague to affect the body directly. God made Yah made distinction between Israelites and Egyptians and the Egyptians. The Egyptian priests were unable to appear in court. Isis was the goddess of health, and Imhotep was the god of healing. So those deities were judged. Plague 7, hail, Exodus 9, 13 through 35. This plague affected the agriculture and livestock that was left in the field. Such a storm of hail was unique to Egypt. Nut or Nut was the goddess of the sky. Her father, Shu, god of the wind and air, was a calming god. Other deity judged. Plague 8, locusts, Exodus 10, 1 through 20. This plague would be told to Pharaoh's grandsons, serving the purpose of showing Yah's power for generations. Neper and Nepri were the god and goddess of grain. Set was the god of disorder. So, judgment again. Plague 9, darkness, Exodus 10, 21 through 29. It was so dark for 3 days that the darkness could be felt. Ra, the god of the sun, was the most worshipped and revered god in Egypt. Amun-Ra is what I know him as, but that was one thing I used to put off Amun, but I think it was pronounced wrong as Amun. So Amun is something different than Amun. There's so much with pronunciation that we get in trouble with because we don't know how to properly pronounce because we have no one from that time frame to actually educate us and tell us. And we've been so long in this land of captivity that we have automatically an American accents or tone or way of vocalizing words. And it's nothing like our native tongue. So even when we think we've had our native tongue return to us, we still pronounce things with this Hellenized tongue. Is not the same. I hear people say Yahuwah, Yahuwah, Yahoo. It's Yahweh. You hear Yeva, Yeva, Yeva. Is all these different pronunciations of the same pattern of paleo words or symbols, and the pronunciation changes from each and every one. None of us, really have the same. You see different groups of people, speaking the same terminology, but they're speaking of the same characteristic and integrity or being, but pronounce it differently. And I think a lot of that has to do with where we've been raised and how we've been trained in English. It affects us. The spelling of English affects us even to this day. But basically, we just spoke of Ra, the sun, the god of the sun, was worshipped and revered, God in Egypt after Pharaoh. And then it says Jehovah. See, that's another way that people try to, but Yahuwah showed he had power even over the mightiest of the Egyptian gods of Mizraim, the deities. See, that Jehovah, that's another way. I definitely don't think that's the way you pronounce it, because you definitely don't have a J in that in the Hebrew language, but that's another topic. Let's keep going. Plague 10, death of firstborn. And it says established a Jewish Passover, but no, it established the Ibrit Passover. Ibrit means to cross over. Passover sounds like crossover festival. Passover, crossover, Passover, crossover, Passover, crossover. Ibrit. We're not Jewish. The Jewish-ish means like. They're trying to be like the people that they call the Jews, but we're not Jews. That term is irrelevant. There was no J's. Ibrit or Hebrew, Hebrew is still another modern way of saying it. When I first came into this walk, I used to say Eve. That's what I was taught, but there's so many different renditions or comprehensions of what things are. But anyway, I'm rambling again. Okay, this plague was judgment on all Egyptian gods, including Pharaoh himself. In Exodus 1, Pharaoh had ordered the killing of Israelite babies, and now the firstborn of all Egypt was killed. See how that go? See how that go? He reaped what he sowed. He got everything back that he sold. He got what he sold. Yeah, but all right, let's come up out of here. I done went through the 10 plagues, and we can go back to the text and finish reading. Just want, that was a little rabbit trail. I think it was still a good rabbit trail. I'm gonna read the verse back again. Verse 12, I think it was. There it go. And I shall pass through the land of Mizraim on that night, and shall strike all the firstborn in the land of Mizraim, both man and beast, and all the mighty ones, the deities, the gods of Mizraim, shall I execute judgment. I am Yahuwah. See, he just basically, he studied on them. He let it be known. You got all of these, but I'm killing them all. I'm showing authority over them all. I'm gonna make all of them bow. I'm gonna show you that I can show up and show out anytime, and no matter what you put before me, it won't stand. This is what I see from there. Y'all don't play. He ain't for play. All right, 13. And the blood shall be a sign for you on the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I shall pass over you, and let the plague not come on you to destroy you when I strike the land of Mizraim. See, that blood on the doorpost was a protection, a guard, a cover. So you stay in there. It had the spirit of death, pass by, but it also protected it, guarded. It was Shamar. 14. And this day shall become to you a remembrance, and you shall celebrate it as a festival, a Moedim to Yahuwah throughout your generations. Throughout your generations. See, this is something that's hard for people to hear. Celebrate it as a festival and an everlasting law. Generations. That means my generations begin with me. They don't end with me. They begin with me. Celebrate it as a festival and everlasting law. Everlasting law. Lasting means that it's still going. I'm just a student, so I'm just speaking. I know a lot of people think with Yahusha that there is no longer a need for a lamb to ever be killed ever again. And I understand there's never a need for a lamb to be killed again for sin, because he is that. But I do believe that we still, if you read the text, other texts, you'll see that there's still maybe sacrifice still in the kingdom. But hey, if someone can show me different, please give me the text, because I'm here to learn. I'm a student. 15. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. Indeed, on the first day you shall cause leaven to cease from your house. Leaven would be identified in the spiritual as sin. Leaven, it spreads. Yeast spreads. You put a little bit in a loaf and it spreads all the way through it. It helps it all rise up. You don't want sin rising up in it. For whoever eats leavened bread from the first day until the seventh, that being shall be cut off from Israel. We don't want to be cut off. And the first day is a set apart gathering. See, that's what we're going to have. We're going to have Passover dinner. We're going to have the Feast of the Unleavened. And on the seventh day, you shall have a set apart gathering as well. No work is to be done on them, not that is which is to be eaten by every being that alone is prepared by you. So you're supposed to basically have a feast the first day and on the last day. And it's supposed to be like a Shabbat. We're on the Shabbat, but we're going into another, basically a set apart day, another Shabbat-like day. Okay, 17. And you should guard I ain't gonna say that. It's the Feast of the Unleavened. For on this day, I brought your divisions out of the land of Mizraim, and you shall guard this day throughout your generations and everlasting law. Throughout your generations and everlasting law. In the first month, on the 14th day of the new month, in the evening, you shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the new month, in the evening. For 7 days, no leaven is to be found in your houses. For if anyone eats what is leavened, that same being shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether sojourner or native of the land. So a sojourner would be someone who came in and became one with you, that basically keeps the law and as if they are one with you, a brethren. Though they're not biologically a brethren, they're functioning as such. That's my understanding, my comprehension. If someone has better teaching, and please share. Please share. We can have a discussion on that. 20. Do not eat what is leavened in all your dwellings. You are to eat unleavened bread. 21. And Moshe called for all the elders of Israel and said to them, go out and take lambs for yourselves according to your clans and slay the Pesa. And ye shall take a bunch of hyssop and dip in the blood that is in the basin and strike the lintel and the two doorposts of the blood with the blood that is in the basin. And none of you shall go out of the door his house until morning. See, we're just doing a rendition or a rehearsal. So of course people are traveling. They're going from their homes. We have people going to other states. You have people visiting people's homes. So, not going to be staying over 24 hours and stuff. You're going to be leaving and stuff. But understand what was said here. They would not be leaving because the threat of death, they wanted to be secure. They wanted to be protected. They wanted to be guarded. They wanted to be shamar. So they stayed in the house. They did not leave. They were prepared to leave, but they did not leave. So we have to have a comprehension of that. Though we're, just practicing, we still need to be aware of the seriousness of the situation that, no, there was no leaving. You did not want to have yourself open to be disobedient to Yah. So we need to make it clear what's going on. So we just speaking on it. We're just, rehearsing, but we need to know the seriousness of it. If this was what we were really doing, we would need to stay put. 23. And Yahuwah shall pass on to smite the Mizrites, Egyptians, and shall see the blood on the lintel and on the two doorposts, and Yahuwah shall pass over the door and not allow the destroyer to come into the house to smite you. He's shamaring you, he's guarding you. 24. And ye shall guard this word as a law for you and your sons forever. See, it speaks of dealing with the lamb and everything, and this is something that you're going to guard as a law forever. So I don't see anywhere that forever has ended. I don't see it. So if someone has something to show me where we put away the lamb, I get it. Right now we're in captivity. We're in the land of captivity. We're not going to Jerusalem. We're not doing any of the things that are said in scripture for us to do, because we're functioning off of remembrance and rehearsal, not actually doing the things. It's basically we're in a drill. We're not doing the live action. So yes, we're cutting some corners. We're not doing it exactly per the script, but we have to have a comprehension of what is necessary, what is needed to do. See, I work security, and so as many times we do drills and stuff like that, but we don't actually do the real CPR because it's a drill, it's a dummy. We don't actually run to the scene because we know this is drill. We don't want to injure ourselves in the practice. So, yeah. 25. And it shall be when you come to the land which Yahuwah gives you. We're not in the land that Yahuwah gave us. We're in this land of bondage. And as he promised that you shall guard this service, and it shall be when your children say to you, what did this service mean to you? See, that's right now. As a student, I'm learning, and I'm going to share with my family and a couple of friends, what did this mean to me? And try to find out what it means to them. Then you should say, it is the Pesa, slaughtering of Yahuwah, who passed over the houses of the children of Israel in Mizraim, when he smote the Mizrites and delivered our household, and the people bowed their heads and did obedience. They were obedient. And the children of Israel went away and did so as Yahuwah had commanded Moshe and Aaron, so they did. So they did. So they did. So we're going to do tonight. At evening, so many of us are going to do. We're not all going to have the same exact steps, but we should have the same heart, and that's to have obedience to Yahuwah. That we are doing this in remembrance. We're doing this because it is something that honors our Yah, something that is our heritage, something that will set for us forever, something that we had ignorance about, many of us, in the last decade or before. We were at ignorance. We were adapted to something else, due to those that kidnapped us and taught us something different. But now we're coming to a level of comprehension. We're reading the text and actually looking to apply the text out of love, out of obedience. Yahusha says, if you love me, keep my commandments. These things were commanded to us to do. We love him, so we should be keeping his commandments. Not as if we're looking for those, us being obedient as a means of as our only means of salvation, basically. It is a key, but we love him. We're not doing it out of fear. We're doing it out of relationship. That's why we're practicing it. We're doing it over and over. Those that have been married, I've been married 18 years, you practice many of things over and over again. And it's not tedious. It should not even be boring or a bother. It should be something that you're willingly doing and that at time you enjoy, because the love and the relationship is growing off of it. It becomes a benefit. There's a lot of things that spouses do to their spouses that in the beginning, they probably seen it as tedious. Not to be too graphic, but my wife, when we shower, sometimes she washes my back and I can't reach it. But it's an area that I'm always, when it is, I have eczema, I'm always reaching to scratch it, or I'm itching. But when she washes it, gets it good for me, it doesn't itch as much. And so I give her a level of relief also when, I'm not sleeping and scratching and stuff like that, or, she she serves me, she helping me. I don't like taking out the trash, but I take out the trash, like physically she's strong enough to do it. Physically my children are strong enough to do it, but something that she likes seeing me do. She likes seeing me use my muscles. She flirts with me on it and stuff like that. I kind of enjoy doing things in front of her that shows me using strength or whatever, because I see how it puts a smile on her face. Not that I would, hey, I would like to have less work or whatever, but hey, it adds some spark to the life. But anyway, I'm all off rambling again. But enjoy your Sabbath. Enjoy the Passover. Enjoy your family and friends. Another Moedim is here. If you got anything to teach me, please teach me. Share on the feed, or inbox me, whatever. I'm willing to learn. Like I say, I'm a novice at this. I haven't been doing this many years. I've been doing it a couple of years, and I've been under the lead of somebody else. And so now I'm taking a step forward myself. It's a couple of different things that I know I need to take forth myself. I need to eventually get to the point of immersion. I've done immersions, but I had someone guiding, but I need to get to the point where I'm comfortable doing it without someone guiding, because it getting to the point where it's a need. Definitely. Many people have been baptized in the name of Jesus, but that name really, after a while, it stops meaning anything, because yes, we were able to access power because we were in ignorance. But now that we're learning and we're starting to understand and we're studying to show ourselves approved, we have to walk according to our understanding, our comprehension, and not in ignorance. So we need to actually walk out the relationship that we do have and not what we did have. We need to put away some of the childish things that we have. You learn as you live, or you start dying. We're all living, dying, but you can live a more excellent life when you're constantly growing or learning, because then you start getting a better vantage point of things going on, a better perspective, and start seeing the plans of Yah work out. And though so much death and destruction is going around, you see that it's just him allowing things to be cut away, and eventually it'll come to him returning and restoring what has been severed, which is his relationship with his kingdom and his rule and dominion. So I thank you. Shabbat Shalom. Enjoy the Passover. Let me pray. Heavenly Father, Abba, I thank you for another day that you allowed me to just share from the perspective that I have about the Moedims, about your feast days, about your holy convocations, about your Sabbaths, just being able to just relate with people and just talk. May I learn something new off of this, from whatever's shared as a comment, whatever is shared as a thought towards me about this message. May you even open me up out of my willingness to learn, to grow from this, to be able to expound greater on the Passover, on the Pesach, and other Moedims, so that I'm able to share and have others be able to learn and share themselves what they've learned from. Let us grow together, us in Israel, under you, out of our obedience. That is an act of our love and not an act of our fear alone. Let us build in relationships so that, we're not trusting in culture. We're not trusting in our skin and our flesh, but we're trusting in your Ruach HaKodesh and walking out your kingdom authority being the priests, being the oracles that we're supposed to be to the nations, to the sojourners, as well as to our fellow Israelites. May your love and blessings be with us and go with us always. In Yahushua's name, blessings and shalom. Shabbat shalom.